Q&A and conversation. And so I would like to try and keep it concise. However, if you do have to go after the hour mark, completely understandable. You will get a recording of the webinar anyway. So Mauricio, we good to get started?
Yes, we can.
All right, so we are at 9:06, acknowledge that. Good morning, everybody. If you guys don't know me, my name is Araz Nelson. I'm one of the lead educators with Moan International. I'm based in Southern California. I've been a stylist. This year will be my 20th year of being behind the chair. I don't know how that happened, but here we are. And I have been involved in education for, I don't know, 12, 15 years. That's where my passion lies. And I always just geek out and get so excited when I see people committed to education, committed to growing your business, because I always say that no matter what, if you're here and you want to get here, whatever that looks like, say you are a student and you want to be a booth runner, or you're a stylist and you want to be a salon owner, the mechanism that we have to utilize is education. I have a huge spot for it in my heart. And so for those of you that are joining us today, sincere gratitude. This is very exciting. So today we're going to be talking about Megix10. We're going to be doing a live model, great coverage, so that you guys can see with your own eyes what is possible with this color line. I always say, when it was introduced to me a little over 3 years ago, it changed my business. It changed the way I conduct business. It changed how much money I make. It changed the amount of hours I can now work. There's just so much benefit that I got from it. And I get so excited every time someone's open to the idea of hearing about how this technology works and how it can really change your business. And so with COVID, right, and with these restrictions and with these time limitations, like this has been the biggest blessing for me in my business. I was using Megix before COVID, so there wasn't a panic and like, how am I going to service all of these clients when I can reopen? You know, I was very confident and grounded that I could handle it, right? And so today I'm excited to talk about that with you. But before we get any further, you will see that there's another person who is co-hosting with me. I'm going to give a mic to him and let him say a couple things.
Good morning or good evening or good afternoon to everyone. My name is Mauricio. I am the Expo Director of MOA. And in this case, this webinar will be the assistant of Araz, forwarding her all your questions or all sharing videos and pictures.
Perfect. Thank you, Maurizio. So Maurizio is joining us from Italy. He is part of the family. So Moan International is a family-owned business. I think we take pride in that. The family core values are at the bottom of everything, is at the foundation of everything. So there's a lot of thoughtfulness that goes into every product that's made. There's a lot of care that goes into it. And so I'm just grateful to be able to be a part of the Moan International family and to share with you guys today. So the way today is going to roll is I will introduce our model in just a few minutes. I have already sent Maurizio pictures. So sometimes with the webcam, you may not be able to see exactly what we're working with. So he will share some pictures, and then I'm going to go into just describing the technology. What is Megix10? Who is Moan International? How does it work, right? So for those people who are new or Megix curious, how does it work in 10 minutes, right? Like that's a question I get asked often. And how is it different, right? Because sometimes what can happen, if you've been in the industry for a while, you may have been approached with a 10-minute color line, right? And 9 times out of 10, typically the results are a little bit not that exciting. And so what happens with Megix10 is the technology is just so different that you're not going to get that shoe polish look. You're not going to get that over processed or over developed look. It is a very reflective line. So how does that happen? How does that work? And ultimately, how can you use it to make more money and save more time? So I'm super excited about that. I'm going to switch my screen over to the webcam with our model. And while I do that, I will have Maurizio share before pictures of her hair so you guys can see what we are working with.
Here you go.
Perfect. Okay, let's see here. While you do that, I'm sorry, I'm making sure that my camera is on. What's happening here? Okay, so I can't see on my screen, Maurizio. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, come on up. See, if you guys were in the class, we would have a round of applause for our beautiful model who drove all the way from Los Angeles this morning. For those of you not from SoCal, what was it, like an hour drive? Something like that. Okay, so as you guys can see, she has got some regrowth. So if you notice me looking this way, that's where my screen is. So that's why I'm making sure that you guys can see what I want you to be seeing. So she has got quite a bit of white hair. It's I would say 90% probably in this very front here. And then throughout the rest of her hair, she is a little bit over 50%. If you can look down, she's a little bit over 50%. This is a 2-month regrowth. So we are going to do her white coverage today and then let her process. While she processes or while she's being rinsed and shampooed and styled, Maurizio is going to share a couple of videos on some of the newer products that we have. So we have Magix Morph that was just launched. I know there's going to be a lot of questions about Magix Morph, so the video will be up with that. And then also our new Synergy Mousse. So without further ado, I'm going to start getting ready to mix her formula. But I want to talk a little bit about Mo1 International and Megix10. So in 2000, I believe 11 was when we first launched. And in 2015, there was a relaunch. So what happens with those of you who are using Megix10, who have used it, you'll notice that it's very different. It acts and performs like a traditional color line, but it processes in 10 minutes. So, and the difference there is typically when it comes to 10-minute color, it performs like 10-minute color. So if those of you who've had experience with it, maybe you're not going to get as good of a gray coverage. Maybe it's highly alkaline, so it's sensitive on the client's scalp. These are some of the concerns that come up when we're talking about 10-minute color. And so I always tell people that this is very different. So one of the biggest concerns is 10-minute color, is Megix10 aggressive? You know, is it highly alkaline? Is it progressive? Is it limited in color selection? And the answer to all of that is no. So it is not aggressive. Our pH is anywhere, I think the highest pH that we have is going to be in our ultra lifts, which is at like 2.7%. So it's not highly alkaline. We have not overloaded with dyes. So it will not be progressive. So what that means is typically the way traditional or old school 10-minute color technology works is it's a very alkaline product, right? This is not Megix10 I'm talking about other possible 10-minute colors. So it's very alkaline. Alkalinity swells the cuticle. And then it's also heavily packed with dyes. So the technology, the old technology was, let's swell the hair as quickly as we can, and let's pack in as much dye as we can, and then cross our fingers and hope that in 10 minutes we get a great result. But stylists don't leave it on longer because it will be progressive, right? And that does not work. And so with Megix10, we don't have a highly alkaline solution, and it's definitely not overloaded with dyes. We actually use what's called micropigment technology. So I want to talk quickly about what I'm spraying on her hair. This is called Megix 1-Up, and I look at it as a pre-color treatment, okay? If you have a client that has resistant hair, that has a lot of hair, a lot of gray hair, if you have a client that has maybe scalp sensitivities, Megix 1-Up is going to be your best friend. So you're going to spray this on their hair. I concentrated on her roots because we're only coloring her roots. If I was pulling through, I would then spray on her ends as well, very liberally. So this is going to equalize the porosity, and it's going to help because of the polyamine sugars. It's going to help to make sure that her scalp doesn't get sensitive. I know there's stylists out there. I love you, but I know you do this, right? You get a packet of Sweet and Low, you mix it in your color bowl and, and apply the color on, and that, you know, that used to work. But now with technology, there's other products that create that same effect without your client having to see you pour sugar in your color bowl. So Magix 1-Up is going to be what you're probably going to want to use instead of Sweet and Low. So I'll spray that all throughout her hair, and then I'm going to mix her formula. And her formula is a very simple formula, okay? I use 3.0, level 3, cool natural all over, okay? We're gonna get into a little bit more nitty gritty of gray coverage with Megix10, but when you're dealing with level 4 or below, you don't have to mix multiple colors. You can just mix your 3.0 or 4.0 with 21 volume, which is what we use for gray coverage, and you will get white coverage, okay? I will mix 50 grams of color. I don't know if you guys can see, but she has a ton of hair. So I would rather overmix than undermix. So I'm gonna mix 50 grams of color, and then 50 grams of 21 volume. So like I said, 21 volume is what you're gonna wanna use just for your standard gray coverage permanent application. There are times where you could possibly use 12 volume, but when you're dealing with standard gray hair, 21 volume is the way to go. So one of the things, I don't know if you guys can see back here, but I am measuring on a scale. In being in education and being in salons over the years, I know that there are hairdressers out there, there are colorists out there who eyeball things, right? You just eyeball it. That can be a problematic and detrimental if you want consistent results. So the manufacturers have tested it, and the ratio for gray coverage is 1 part color to 1 part developer. So I'm going to ask for a little bit of audience participation here. When you eyeball your color to developer ratio, and let's say you put too much color and not enough developer, what could happen? And this is where you guys can chat in the chat box. What are some of the potential uh-ohs, or what can happen? Say you have too much color in there. It's too thick. The dye load is too heavy. What could go possibly wrong?
Okay, so under development.
Under development, because you don't have enough developer. That's one. What else? Thank you. If you have too much color.
Color will be darker.
Color will be darker, exactly. So what's happening is if you don't have the right developer to color mixture and you have too much color in your formula, it's going to appear darker than what your target was, because now you have more of a dye load than you originally wanted, right? So it's going to appear darker. It's going to be probably a little bit uneven. Now let's go with the opposite. What happens? It's okay. I'll put your mask back on. What happens if you put too much developer? Say you eyeballed it and okay, your results weren't consistent. You put too much developer. Why? What could happen?
So they say
You guys to work this morning. Just kidding.
No coverage.
No coverage. Yes, that's part of one of the problems. Yeah, you're not going to get proper coverage because now you have too much developer in your mixture. Your developer to dye concentration is off. So you are not going to get proper coverage. It's going to look a little bit more reflective. It's going to look more sheer as now you've put too much developer in. So you see how, I mean, I think as hairdressers, a lot of the times it's really difficult for us to accept responsibility for some of our mistakes. And sometimes it's not, but a lot of times if you're not measuring you're not going to get the consistent results that you're looking for. And then you get to blame me or blame Magix or blame this color or that color. So for the most consistent results, and I know you guys are going to eyeball, I know you're going to, and that's cool. Like, but I have to just tell you, as a stylist, as an educator, measure your color, measure your developer. That way you're going to get the most consistent results. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, a lot of times I see stylists mix the color, and sometimes you don't mix it that great, right? So what I want to say is, if you are trying to get the most consistent results, make sure that your color formula with developer is mixed thoroughly. So I think I've experienced this sometimes, right? Where I think it's mixed all the way, and then at the bottom, there's a little clump of color. What could happen, because we're doing like troubleshooting now, right? So what could happen if your color is not mixed all the way, and say I got a clump of color right here and I just kind of blend it in? What could happen? See, these are things that a lot of us do or don't think about when we're trying to get perfect gray coverage. And then when we go back and like retrace our steps, it's like, oh yeah, maybe I didn't measure, or oh yeah, maybe the color wasn't mixed all the way. Anybody have any ideas what could happen if you have little?
Yes, there are several. So patchy results and potential irritation.
Bingo. Patchy results. So in that little clump of hair color, it is not mixed with developer. Okay. So you're just going to kind of smear it on, and it's not going to develop as well as the rest of the color. The second point, which is a big point, is the irritation. So you got to think, if the color and the developer aren't mixed, color is the alkaline part of the hair color formulation, developer is the acidic part. So if it's not mixed and you have a little clump and you break up the clump on the client's head, okay, they're going to have, if you've ever had people be like, oh, it's just itchy like right here, or it's just itchy right here, maybe it's because that's where the little ammonia bomb went off, right? Like if you had a little clump of color and you broke it up, that's a little bit of gas that's going to get released. It's going to cause irritation on the client. So these are all things that I know as colorists, as professionals, that we know. But what happens is sometimes we just get so stuck in get it done, right? Like we're just in autopilot. We're just like, okay, next client, especially like when you get the green light to reopen, you're just like boom, bam, boom, servicing clients left and right. But if you're OCD like me and you want perfect, consistent results, these are things that we have to start thinking about, right? And I remember I had a call with somebody, he's on this call today. He's like, I just wasn't thinking. All of us do that. And so if I could give you one little nugget, is just stop and think, what am I doing? How am I formulating? What am I mixing to ensure that I get the best results, to ensure that I don't have to come back and fix it? The good news with Megix10, if you do have to fix it, it's 10 minutes. It's not that bad. But the goal is that we don't have to create any corrective color situations. So we want to measure our color, we want to measure our developer, and we want to make sure that we mix our color really, really well before we apply it onto the client's head. Another hot tip with gray coverage is this. Come this way a little bit. Thank you. I don't know if you guys can notice, but I'm taking very, very thin, fine sections, and I am fully saturating both sides. So I've seen colorists apply color, and it's usually one side, and then you take a section, and then you paint just the one side of it, because you're assuming, okay, if I take this section, okay, and I like this, and I paint here, you're going to assume that this side is getting coverage as well. It can, but if you want to make sure that you get the most consistent coverage, you want to paint both sides of the hair. Okay. And that's just something, again, we all know, but maybe we don't do, especially, like I said, in this COVID world, you know, we're just trying to service as many clients as possible. But Megix is here for a solution, you guys. I do my clients between an hour to an hour and a half, and I use Megix on all of my clients. So one of the things to understand, how does Megix10 work? Why is it different? Why doesn't it look like shoe polish like every other color brand? And that's because of the technology that they have used to create the color line, and it's called spectrum technology. And in hairdresser terms, we call this micropigment technology. So the dye that is used, the dye intermediaries that are used are a lot smaller in size and smaller in weight. So think about it this way. If the color molecule is smaller, doesn't that mean it will penetrate into the hair quicker? Versus if the dye molecule is a little bit larger, you may need a higher alkaline product to swell the hair bigger so that those bigger molecules can get in. So with Megix10, they're a lot smaller in size and weight. And what's unique about them is that they couple and combine. So one of the things people bring up to me when I talk about spectrum technology is, hey, if the dye molecules are that small, how come they don't wash out of the hair? And it's a genuine concern, but they don't wash out because once they get into the cortical fibers, they couple, they combine, and they get larger. So for those of you who are Megix users, you'll notice that the color doesn't fade. If you're formulating correctly, it doesn't fade, it doesn't wash out, it stays put. And that's because of the technology of the color coupling and combining in the cortex. So it's important to know this because I think sometimes clients, especially if you've used traditional color and they're going to ask questions because you're asking questions, right? Like when you first about Megix10, there were some questions that I'm sure you had. Clients are going to have the same concerns. So when you understand how something works, then you're a lot more grounded and you can actually have a conversation with your client and explain it to them too. So the micropigments coupling and combining have helped this 10-minute process. So any questions on that so far? Me too.
Yes, I have one question about the morph. Maybe you can reply later or now.
Yeah, we'll talk about morph in a little bit. Thank you for that. And we will cover it. If I don't, just remind me again. But yes. I just wanted to see if there was questions about the micropigments. And it looks like people kind of understand how that technology works. So this is kind of hand in hand. How does this color work in 10 minutes? And then the other concern that clients will have, and I speak from experience, is, oh, it works in 10 minutes. Is it going to fry my hair? Is it going to damage my hair? Like, because it's working so fast, is that bad for my hair? Honestly, it's a genuine concern. And maybe you might even have the same concern as a colorist. And so for you to know that the alkalinity is very, very low. And then the biggest and most beneficial thing about Megix10 is this ingredient called Caraveg18. So what Caraveg18 is a blend of amino acids, soy protein, and wheat protein, and they're from plants, okay, in this complex that is in every single tube of color. So this isn't a bond builder type of situation where you have to add another product. It's already in our color. It is already in the developer. It's in the 1-Up. It's in our color defining spray. It's in the Synergy Mousse. So it is its job. And you know how I look at it is it's almost like a mask, like a hair mask for the hair. So it's got these conditioning and rebuilding properties, but it's in the color. So it survives in the color and it actually helps create color longevity. It helps maintain the integrity of the hair, all while you're coloring. So even though some people may think it's more aggressive because it works in 10 minutes, it's quite the opposite, right? Like we have the lower pH and then we have the Caraveg18. Like I said early on in the webinar, in working with Maurizio and Moan, I see that the integrity of the hair, the hairdresser's business, all of that is in mind when new color families are introduced, when new products are introduced. There's a lot of consideration that goes in to how everything is made. It's not just, here you go, it's made with us in mind. And so the Caraveg18 helps us because now we're coloring the hair and we're actually creating healthier hair. Because I don't know about you guys, I don't want to work on damaged hair. I despise working on damaged hair. It's so much more difficult. It's so much more of a pain to work on damaged hair. So Caravage 18, super, super important to know, and you can tell your clients about it. It's also, like I said, in the shampoo and conditioner. It's in the Synergy Mousse, where you can give that to your client to take home and use as a mask. I'll talk about all of that in a second. But I wanted to cover, how does Megix10 work and what's so great about it? The other, I guess it's a two-handed thing on how it works in 10 minutes, right? Like one of them is the fact that we have the micropigments and they couple and combine. And then the second hand in that is our developers. So if you guys have heard, read, seen anything about Megix10, you will know that our developers are a little bit different. Okay, so we have a fix, which is a 6 volume. So one of the biggest and most beneficial aspects of having Megix10 as your color line is it is a full use color line. So we can take every tube of color, okay, and it can be used as an alkaline Demi permanent, a permanent gray coverage. We have high lift, and then now this tube can be turned into an acidic Demi permanent with the addition of Morph. So if you are a stylist who is maybe budget conscious, especially with all these shutdowns and it's been different everywhere else, but a lot of us have had restrictions on how we can generate income. So if you're budget conscious, if you're space conscious, like you don't have the space to carry multiple lines, because listen, I've been in your salons, I've been there, right? I know you open somebody's cabinet and it's like, well, I like the gray coverage from this line. So I have that with its developers. And then I like the reds from here. So I have those with its developers. And then I have this acidic Demi and I have that. And then it's a smorgasbord of all these different, your favorites, right? But it doesn't have to be that way because Megix10 is a full color line. So when I say full, we have 86 shades. When you think about 10-minute color or quick color, it's typically very limited in the range. So with Megix, there's 86 shades. I always say this is a colorist's color line. So there are plenty of shades to choose from and endless opportunities for you to create what you want with it. And so we have the Fix, which is a 6 volume. When you use Fix, you can turn our color into an alkaline Demi-permanent. If you mix it with Morph, it can turn into an acidic Demi-permanent. So you really have everything covered as far as Demi or deposit only is concerned. And then we have a 12 volume, which is going to be similar to your, what you know as 10. Okay, that is going to be for a long lasting Demi-permanent that can be used for gray blending, gray coverage on very fine textured hair. That's when you would use the 12 volume. 21 volume is going to be for gray coverage and for permanent results. 32 volume will give you a little bit more brightness, a little bit more lift. It'll shift a little bit more melanin to create a brighter undertone for you to deposit on. And then our 40 volume is what you would use if you are mixing our ultra lifts. So in just talking about these developers, what sounds different? What sounds different than what we're used to? This is an obvious one, but I'm trying to get some audience participation.
Volume.
Yes. Yes. So you're typically used to, excuse me. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes and counting.
Timeout on the developers. I'm just using this comb to kind of brush through to make sure that we don't have a line. And this is great because it's got a roller on it, so I'm not dragging the color down. I just use it to break it up and make sure that I don't have a harsh line. So in case some of you guys are wondering. Okay, so now she can process for 10 minutes. My timer will go off. You can have a seat over there, honey. And then we'll go wash and dry her. So in dealing with our developers, so they do sound a little bit different, right? It's 12 volume, 21 volume, 32 volume, and 40. And the reason for that is that our developers are slightly a little bit more oxygenated. So there's a little bit more oxygen to help move the process and make it a 10-minute color process. So a lot of people ask, oh, well, do I have to use Megix Developer? And the answer is yes, okay? A lot of you will do what you want to do, but as a colorist, not even as an educator, but as a colorist, the best results that you're going to get is if you mix Megix Developer with Megix10 hair color, okay? So slightly more oxygenated, a little bit more oomph to help those micropigments get into the cortical layers quicker, okay? So that's kind of just the technology behind it. Do we have any questions on that? Grab my water. Nothing?
Yes, there's one question about the technology, asking because you are talking while coloring, is the result between the hair in the front and back will be different because there are 5 minutes?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes. So the question is, you spend 5 minutes to apply the color, no?
Mm-hmm.
So is the color will be different between the part where you have begun and the other one?
Good question. So I'm guessing what you're referring to is the color will be sitting on longer where I first started versus where I ended. And that's the beauty of Megix10 is it's not progressive. So once I finish my application, that's where I set my 10-minute timer, and then everything will be even. If it takes me 30 to 40 minutes to apply, then what I would do is I would mix a second bowl halfway through. Okay, because what happens is as you start mixing the color, it starts oxidizing very, very quickly. Okay, and so after the 25-30 minute mark, you're going to want a new bowl of color because those micropigments start coupling and combining right away. So if it's going to take you longer to apply, then you mix a second bowl. But with her, it took me, I think, about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more to apply. And so because it's not progressive, at the 10-minute mark, it will all look the same. I also started in the very front of her hairline because she's more resistant there and she has more white. So she was closer to 90% in the front and then a little over 60% in the back. But you will see the results when I wash her. I'll send pictures from the front and the last place that I did the deposit so we can compare. But that's a good question. Any other questions?
Yes,
so
we have
far?
other questions. So where does the natural colors land on the color wheel?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's what I will be getting into next on my things to talk about. So if you've seen the Megix color wheel in the color book, you'll see that we have a huge color wheel on here to help you identify where the colors lie. So you guys will notice that we have I refer to it as a natural, right? I used a level 3 natural on the model's hair. We have 2 different natural families. This is something that comes up often, and it's a topic of confusion for some people because we have a 0.0 and a 0.00, okay? What do you, if you're not a Megix user, what do you assume that 0.00 is for? You guys can go ahead and type that in the chat box. If you see like 6.00, you're gonna grab it thinking what?
Intense coverage.
Intense coverage, yes. A lot of people would assume that it's like an NN or extra gray coverage, and that's not the case with Megix10. So I say this loud and I say this as clearly as possible, and I'm gonna show you why, okay? Our 0.0 is a cool natural. So it is, you probably can't see this. Let me see if I can get closer.
I'm going to share the color chart.
Yeah, do that.
Sorry, the color wheel. Sorry, the color wheel.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so our 0.0 cool natural lays in a yellow-green background. So it's a brown with a yellow-green tone and reflect to it. Our 0.00 is a warm natural, okay? So it is brown with yellow orange. it is not intended for additional gray coverage. Are you sharing it? I can't see the screen.
Just a second.
Oh, okay, hang on. Let's see here. Okay, so 0.00, and if you look at where the yellow-orange side of it is, that's where 0.00 warm natural lies, okay? 0.0 cool natural is more towards the yellow-green. And I'm saying natural, not neutral. So there's been some confusion about this natural versus neutral. So a neutral is what you need to get 100% white gray coverage or white hair coverage. So one of the recommendations for people who are using Magix.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. They are asking where the model is now.
Oh, the model is sitting to the left of me.
Okay.
Should I bring her back on the screen?
Yes.
I just, because I was working with the color book, I didn't want to hit her and talking about it. Should I bring her back? You want to come back, Sidon? Okay. She went to the restroom. So she'll be right back. But so the cool natural versus the warm natural. When you're trying to get 100% white hair coverage in a level 4 and above, okay, and you use just the cool natural, you're going to get a cooler result. But it's important to keep in mind that in order to get a balanced gray coverage, white coverage, you're going to have to add a little bit of the 0.00. So it's not for additional gray coverage. It is for the warmth that you need so that your white coverage doesn't look hollow. Does that make sense? So if you grab just the 0.00 and assume that you're going to get additional, you can come sit here. Oh, she put some on her eyebrows. Oh my God.
I have grays on my eyebrows.
Oh. How did you even? Anyways, good times.
I need to brush.
Okay, thank you. So 0.00, if you just grab the 0.00 in order to get like this additional gray coverage, you're going to get a very warm result. If you grab just the 0.0, you're going to get a very cool result. So one of the biggest recommendations that we have is that when you're dealing with over 50% white hair, that you mix in a little bit of the warm natural with the cool natural to get a neutral result, okay? And this is when you're dealing with a lot of white hair. But I think the original question was, where do the colors lie on the color wheel? And so the cool natural is a 0.0 yellow green, warm natural is 0.00 yellow orange. Does that answer that question?
Yes, I think so.
Perfect. So 0.0 versus 0.00, this is a topic that a lot of people get kind of confused on. It's just a cool natural versus a warm natural. Okay, that's the only major difference between those two.
So they are asking which is the mix ratio for a neutral gray coverage.
The mixing ratio for neutral
0.00.
So it depends on how much white hair you have and that you're dealing with. So typically, and depending on how warm you want your formula, but I would say typically 75 to 80% of a cool natural to 15 to 20% of a warm natural. So you got to think warmth will always overtake the coolness. That's my timer. Warmth will always overtake the coolness. So if you put too much of the warmth, it's going to be a little too warm. So 75 to 80 in the 0.0, and then maybe 15 to 20, 25 in the 0.00. So we will be putting out a tips and tricks for gray coverage with Megix10 very soon. That's going to have more of that information and how you want to mix the two to get more of a neutral, balanced result. But typically less warmth unless you want a warmer result. So our model for next month's webinar wants a warmer result. So that one, with that model, she's like a level 7. I will be mixing 0.00 in with her formula so you guys can see the difference between the 0.00 being added, okay? That is my timer. So I'm gonna go and wash our model. And I think what Maurizio is gonna do is he's going to put on some videos about Morph and Synergy Mousse. So I will be using, just so you guys know, the Magix shampoo and conditioner to rinse out her color. And then I'm gonna use our Synergy Mousse as a back bar treatment. So there's a cool little deep conditioning treatment you can do with Synergy and Morph, and I'll talk about that when I get back. But I'm gonna wash her, style her. You guys enjoy the videos, and I will see you in just a couple minutes. I'm gonna turn my video off. Synergy Mousse is not your regular mousse. Enriched with Caraveg 18, a plant-based complex of amino acids that will help in reconstruction and hydration, Synergy is every colorist's dream come true. A truly versatile product suitable for many uses. Synergy can be used alone as a reconstructive treatment or can be used in conjunction with Pure Shades to facilitate an easier application, reconstructing the hair during the coloring process, and will help guarantee a uniform deposit over the length of the hair. Synergy can also be used as a take-home product for clients replacing hair masks or conditioners. Hello everybody, Araz Nelson here, lead educator with Moan, and today I'm super excited to introduce you to the newest member of the Moan International family, Morph. Magix Morph is an acid toner transformer with Caraveg 18, transforming any Megix10 hair color into a gentle acidic color. So today I'm excited to share with you and show you how to use Morph with our Ultra Lift Blondes family to create a gorgeous toner on our model, Alyssa. What we've done so far is pre-lightened her to a level 910 pale yellow. And I'm gonna use our Ultra Lift family along with Morph to tone down some of this warmth. I'm choosing to use 108. Now, when it comes to mixing Morph with the Ultra Lift Blonde family, what you wanna do is mix 15 grams of the Ultra Lift Blonde and 2 grams of Morph. So I'm gonna pour 15 grams of 108 in my bowl, 22 grams of Fix Developer, because I'm mixing 1.5 to 1, and then I will add 2 grams of Morph. What this is gonna do is help acidify the formula. And 2 grams of Morph. So by adding the Morph into my formula, one of the benefits of it is it does reduce the smell of the ammonia. So sometimes with a permanent toner, what can happen is because of the alkalinity, you can get something like a base bump. But the cool thing about Morph is when I mix it into my formula, it's going to eliminate the possibility of that happening. So I'm getting a true acidic deposit only effect. Clients typically like the front to be a little bit brighter and for it to pop. So a good way to avoid getting rid of that pop is to tone it last. I'm excited to show you the reveal of our model today. Just a quick formula recap. I mixed 1 part of 108 to 1.5 parts of Fix, which is our 6-volume developer. And I used Morph in that formula. By the looks of it, her hair looks and feels so much healthier. And the 108 helped to refine some of that warmth that was exposed during the lightening process. I think she looks absolutely incredible, and her hair looks and feels a lot healthier and shinier. So I hope you found this video helpful. As always, please make sure to follow us on social media. And until next time, happy hair coloring. Hello everybody, Aras Nelson here, lead educator with Mo1 International. And today I'm super excited to introduce you to the newest member of the Mo1 family, Morph. Morph is a product that can be mixed into any of our color to turn it from an alkaline solution into a gentle, acidic, demi-permanent solution. I'm excited to share with you how I use Morph in conjunction with Megix10 to create a beautiful root melt and tone on my model, Alexia. For my client today, she actually started off as a level 4 brunette. She's never colored her hair before, and it was super fun getting her to this lighter level 8 color. So I'm excited to actually root melt, give her a little bit of depth in the root, and tone these ends to a prettier color. And I'm looking forward to using Megix10 with Morph to make it an acidic, gentle, demi-permanent color. So the formula that I've chosen for her roots is going to be a level 7 natural. The mixing ratio when you're using Morph with the Megix10 color line will be for every 10 grams of color, you add 1 gram of Morph. So in this case, because she has so much hair, I'm actually going to be using 30 grams of color. And we mix that 1 to 1.5 with Fix. So I will add 45 grams of Fix in my bowl and then 3 grams of Morph. Fix is a 6-volume developer, so it's super low developer. And then when we mix Morph into it, it acidifies the whole formula. So now that I've got her root melt color on, I'm gonna go ahead and formulate for her ends. And the 2 colors that I will be using is 8.71, which is cold maroon, and 9.0. So the cold maroon in a level 8, I will mix 40 grams. And I'm gonna mix 20 grams of a 9 natural. 90 grams of Fix, which is 6 volume. Now because I used 60 grams of color, I will mix 6 grams of Morph. So remember, for every 10 grams of color, 1 gram of Morph. Excited to share with you guys the final reveal from our model today. Quick reminder, she started off as a level 4 brunette. I pre-lightened her using Lift 9, and quick formula recap for you. So for the root melt, I decided to use a level 7 natural, 1 part of 7.0, 1.5 parts of Fix, and I mixed Morph into that formula to make it a true acidic demi-permanent. Now for her ends, as you can see, the color is just so pretty and so rich. I used 8.71 and 9.0. Reminder, I mixed Morph into that formula as well, so I got a true deposit only acidic demi-permanent color Her hair just looks incredibly shiny, incredibly healthy, a lot more natural looking. So I'm super stoked on these results. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you like the results that we created today. As always, guys, please make sure to follow us on social media. And until next time, happy hair coloring. Hi, I'm Araz, educator with Mowan, here to talk about Megix10 hair color. Today I'm really excited to introduce Megix10 hair color, what makes it unique and different, how you can use it and mix it, and ultimately how you can revolutionize your business using Megix10. With over 86 colors to choose from in a permanent, a demi-permanent, ultra lift blonde, and toner, this color line truly is a colorist's color line. One of the greatest tools that Megix10 offers is the color wheel in the color book. So when you're going to choose whatever target shade you want to use on your client, stylist, it's very important to refer to the color wheel so that you understand the background tone of every color that we offer. What's great about this particular color wheel is every single color is placed on the color wheel depending on background and tone. It's a really great tool to use when you're formulating. Megix10 offers spectrum technology, which basically means that we are using lower levels of ammonia and smaller micropigments to combine quicker and allow a 10-minute processing time. One of the unique benefits of Megix10 is the 18 amino acid complex called CareVeg18. And CareVeg18 is a unique blend of 18 different plant-based amino acids that are found in every tube of hair color, and their job is to maintain the integrity of the hair and keep the hair looking healthy and shiny and brilliant. Because of its low processing time, only 10 minutes, we are actually offering our clients the opportunity to reduce their exposure to chemicals. And by reducing their exposure time to chemicals, there is actually a 70% less chance of a chemical reaction occurring. It's important to know that when using Megix10 hair color, you will get 100% gray coverage, but always be mindful of the laws of color. So it is recommended to add either a natural or intense natural to some of your formulas, especially when a client has over 50% gray. Stylist, when it comes to the natural series, Megix10 offers two different natural series. We have a cool natural and a warm natural. 0.00 simply means warm natural. It has a yellow-orange background tone versus 0.0 being a cool natural, yellow-green background tone. When using Megix10 for gray coverage, it's important to use 21 volume to get the best gray coverage. As you can see, we have our beautiful model who has over 50% gray. The formula I'm choosing for her is our new color family, the 6.11, which is a level 6 double ash, and I will be mixing equal parts of 6.11 with 6.0, which is our level 6 cool natural. As always with gray coverage, 21 volume is recommended. Before I start her color application, I will spray her scalp and hair with Megix 1-Up. This is a unique product enriched with CareVeg18, niacin vitamins, and polyamine sugars. As you can see when I'm mixing this color, it is incredibly creamy and very easy to apply on the client. When doing the application, it's always important to start in the grayest and most resistant areas first. For this client in particular, we're starting in the front hairline. Once I've finished my application, I will set my timer for 10 minutes. Excluding the high lift blondes, which can be used as a toner, the other 80 shades in the color line can be used as a permanent or a demi-permanent light, depending on your developer and mixing ratio. Once my timer is up, I will check for coverage and take her to the shampoo bowl. So as you guys can see, our finished result, our model got 100% gray coverage. Just a formula recap, I used 6.11, which is 6 double ash, 6.0, which is 6 cool natural, equal parts with 21 volume. I love that this processed in 10 minutes, so your clients can be in and out within an hour, ultimately doubling your income or seeing less clients making the same amount of money. This has 100% revolutionized my business. I love the results I get using Megix. The Caravage 18 provides incredible shine, and I think she just looks so fabulous. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. This is Araz. Make sure to follow us on social, and happy hair coloring. Magix Morph is an acid toner transformer with Caravage 18, transforming any Megix10 hair color into a gentle acidic color. By using Morph, you can achieve a true acidic demi-permanent color. And using Morph will help enhance the reflect of the chosen shade and also eliminate any oxidative power. Say goodbye to unwanted warmth during toning when you use Morph with Megix10. Morph will help lower the pH level of Megix10, transforming it into a delicate demi-permanent color with zero lightening properties. Hi, I'm Araz Nelson, educator with Moan, and today I'm very excited to share with you some information about our Ultra Lift Blonde family with Megix10. Our Ultra Lift Blonde family is unlike any other high lift color on the market because it processes in just 20 minutes. Yes, lift and toning in just 20 minutes, saving colorists at least 30 minutes in processing time. No need to worry about being too aggressive on the hair or causing any kind of damage, thanks to Caravage 18, which is a proprietary blend of amino acids, soy and wheat proteins, and helps in maintaining the integrity of the hair and creating lustrous shine, durability, and color longevity. Megix10 Ultra Lift Blondes can give you 3 to 4 levels of lift when mixed with Double 40 Developer, and can be used as a toner when mixed with Fix, which is a 6 volume developer. When using the Ultra Lifts, it's important to consider who is a good candidate for an Ultra Lift Blonde service. The ideal client for a Ultra Lift Blonde color application is somebody who is naturally a level 6 and above, has fine to medium textured hair, was naturally a sandy blonde or a blonde as a child, and somebody who doesn't mind a little bit of warmth. If you're looking for a neutral to warmer result, you could use the 100, which is a neutral background, the 103, which is a gold background, or the 104, which is a strawberry beige background. Our model today, in my opinion, is the perfect candidate for an Ultra Lift blonding service. The first thing that I will do is determine her natural level, starting in the back where her hair is naturally the darkest. I pulled a 7.0 and an 8.0 and determined that her natural level is closer to an 8. The formula that I decided to use for her was equal parts of 100 and 103. A natural tone and a golden tone. Because she likes her hair to be on the warmer side, this is the perfect formula for her. As you can see when I'm mixing the color, using Double 40 gives me a very creamy consistency that's super easy to apply. Before any application, I spray on Megix 1-Up Spray, which has Caravage 18, niacin, polyamine sugars, and this will help with shine, longevity of color, and also with any scalp sensitivities. When it comes to applying an Ultra Lift Blonde, I always recommend starting in the back of the head where the hair is the darkest. Make sure and take small sections and saturate heavily, and always remember, set your timer 20 minutes. Once my timer goes off, I always check the results before I shampoo. It's always recommended to use the Megix10 shampoo and conditioner when shampooing your clients because the Caraveg 18 formula is also in the shampoo and conditioner. Once your client is shampooed and conditioned, we recommend spraying the color defining spray all over. This will help not only detangle the hair, but will also help acidify the hair after a coloring service. As I'm drying and styling, you can see that her color lifted absolutely beautifully and is a great match to her ends. One of the reasons I love the Ultra Lift Blondes from Megix10, despite the fact that it processes in 20 minutes, is that it is a lift and tone in one step, making my life as a stylist significantly easier. And there you have it, guys. 3 levels of lift in just 20 minutes using Megix10 Ultra Lift Blondes. Quick formula recap. I mixed equal parts of 100 and 103 with double 40 volume and processed for just 20 minutes. Her hair looks incredibly beautiful and shiny. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to follow us on social. Until next time, this is Aras, and happy hair coloring. Hello, everybody. Magix Morph is an acid toner transformer with Caraveg 18, transforming any Megix10 hair color into a gentle acidic color. By using Morph, you can achieve a true acidic demi-permanent color. And using Morph will help enhance the reflect of the chosen shade and also eliminate any oxidative power. Say goodbye to unwanted warmth during toning when you use Morph with Megix10. Morph will help lower the pH level of Megix10, transforming it into a delicate demi-permanent color with 0 lightening properties. Hi, I'm Aras Nelson, educator with Moan, and today I'm very excited to share with you some information about our Ultra Lift Blonde family with Megix10. Our Ultra Lift Blonde family is unlike any other high lift color on the market because it processes in just 20 minutes. Yes, lift and toning in just 20 minutes, saving colorists at least 30 minutes in processing time. No need to worry about being too aggressive on the hair or causing any kind of damage, thanks to Caraveg 18, which is a proprietary blend of amino acids, soy and wheat proteins, and helps in maintaining the integrity of the hair and creating lustrous shine, durability, and color longevity. Megix10 Ultra Lift Blondes can give you 3 to 4 levels of lift when mixed with double 40 developer, and can be used as a toner when mixed with Fix, which is a 6 volume developer. When using the Ultra Lifts, it's important to consider who is a good candidate for an Ultra Lift Blonde service. The ideal client for a Ultra Lift Blonde color application is somebody who is naturally a level 6 and above, has fine to medium textured hair, was naturally a sandy blonde or a blonde as a child, and somebody who doesn't mind a little bit of warmth. If you're looking for a neutral to warmer result, you could use the 100, which is a neutral background, the 103, which is a gold background, or the 104, which is a strawberry beige background. Our model today, in my opinion, is the perfect candidate for an Ultra Lift blonding service. The first thing that I will do is determine her natural level, starting in the back where her hair is naturally the darkest. I pulled a 7.0 and an 8.0 and determined that her natural level is closer to an 8. The formula that I decided to use for her was equal parts of 100 and 103. A natural tone and a golden tone. Because she likes her hair to be on the warmer side, this is the perfect formula for her. As you can see when I'm mixing the color, using double 40 gives me a very creamy consistency that's super easy to apply. Before any application, I spray on Megix 1-Up Spray, which has Caraveg 18, niacin, polyamine sugars, and this will help with shine, longevity of color, and also with any scalp sensitivities. When it comes to applying an Ultra Lift Blonde, I always recommend starting in the back of the head where the hair is the darkest. Make sure and take small sections and saturate heavily, and always remember, set your timer 20 minutes. Once my timer goes off, I always check the results before I... Oh, Maurizio, I think the video is still playing.
Sorry?
Hi, everybody. Quickest blow dry ever. Okay, so if you could pin my video, Maurizio, so that they can see, maybe I can do it. There we go. Okay, so we are, here we go. You guys can see pretty well. So I have sent the pictures to Maurizio. He's uploading them so that he can share the screen. But in the meantime, I just wanted to show you guys from far away. And in the pictures, you guys will see up close that we got 100% white hair coverage on her resistant hair. And I did not pull the color through, but I did use Synergy Mousse as deep conditioning, and you guys can see how shiny her hair is, but there's no hollowness in the white coverage. I mean, she has complete coverage in her white hair, and yep, there we go. Okay, so I think Maurizio is working on the picture, so I wanted to show you guys what she looked like just from here, and I believe we got some questions, so while Maurizio prepares the pictures, I'm going to look at some of these questions and see if I can answer some of them. So here we go. How is the shine? Yvette says, so because of the Caravage 18 and because of its conditioning properties, you can see that her hair is incredibly shiny. I did not use any styling products. I just used the Synergy Mousse as a deep conditioning, and then I sprayed the color defining spray, which is in my shampoo area. But the color defining spray is what you would want to use after the color service. It helps acidify the hair. It helps seal the cuticle. It helps with color longevity. But this shine, a lot of it is from Caravage 18. So the shine is incredible. What is the difference between an acidic Demi and an alkaline Demi? So I'm pretty sure Maurizio shared the videos of Morph, but I will just quickly explain. So an alkaline Demi means that the pH of that mixture, even mixed with a low volume developer, is more alkaline. So for example, if you have a client that you do, say you do highlights on her or you do a balayage and she has her natural base in between. If you use an alkaline solution as a toner, what could happen is her natural base may shift. It may slightly lighten, it may slightly bump the base a little bit because there's alkalinity in that formula. When you use an acidic Demi, so in that case, you would mix your toner with Megix, your whatever color you choose, and you would put Morph in the solution, it makes it acidic. So what would happen is even if you put it on her natural virgin hair, you're not going to get a base bump or shifting of the base. It is a true deposit only. Whereas sometimes if you mix an alkaline Demi, it can shift the base. So it's a complete game changer in the realm of hair coloring, that we can take our permanent color and acidify it with Morph to get a true deposit only. So I hope that clarifies it for you. Let's see here. Can I apply the Demi color for gray coverage right after doing a relaxer? I'm going to say probably not. So typically when you do any kind of relaxing or smoothing treatment, you're supposed to do your color application before you do the relaxing, because what happens is it has now, the relaxer seals the cuticle so tight, and this is just my understanding. I would ask the manufacturer of the relaxer what their protocol is, but in my experience, you would color before and then you relax. If you're doing a Brazilian blowout, for example, you would color before and then do the Brazilian. So I would recommend after, but just to be safe, reach out to the manufacturer of the straightening system and ask them what their recommendation is. Is the system built on warm or cold? So with Megix10, a lot of the color families have both a warm and a cool version. So our reds, there is a warm red and there's a cooler red. So the warmer red, which is the red intense 0.66 family, that's a little bit warmer. So it's got some red orange. The 0.62, which is the red iris, is a little bit cooler. It's a red violet. We also have the maroon and cold maroon. In Megix, the maroon is more of a warm brown, a chestnutty brown. It's not typically what in the United States we would consider maroon to be like a red violet. It's not it. It's a warm brown. And then we have the cooler version of that. Same thing with our naturals. There's a warm natural and there's a cool natural. So when I say it's a colorist color line, you get to dictate how much warmth, how much coolness, how much background, how much reflect. You get to do all of that and decide for yourself how much you want to finesse your formula. Okay. Let's see here. Is the cool N darker than the warm N? So the cool natural versus the warm natural, it will appear darker. And I say the word appear because technically if they're both at a level 6, the cool natural will always appear darker because it has a yellow-green background tone. Green has blue in it. So anything that is cooler or ashier will always visually appear darker to the eye than a warmer color, because warm has more of the yellow and red and yellow and orange to make it visually appear lighter. It's all about how the light bounces off of the hair. So ash colors in general, not just with Megix guys, in general, ash will always appear darker. Warm will always appear lighter. You want to do a fun experiment, take your swatch book and take your 6 ash and your 6 gold, put them next to each other. Chances are the 6 gold is going to look lighter, even though it's a level 6. So that's something in understanding how the hair and light reflects and refracts from your eyes. So that's a very, very good question. Let's see here. Yes.
I'm ready with pictures if you want.
Oh, okay. Go for the pictures. He'll share the pictures, and I'm going to keep answering questions here. It says, can you use morph with, oh, I lost it. Hang tight. What was it? Can you use morph with the high lift families? Yes. What happened? Oh, there we go. Did you share the pictures? Did I miss it?
Yes, I'm sharing.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So yes, morph is designed to be used with the whole line. So when you're going to use our Ultra Lift Blondes as a toner, you are going to mix more morph. So the way I explain it, and hopefully this is, I think, the easiest way to understand, the more alkaline the color, the more morph you will have to add. The less alkaline, the less morph. So think about it this way. Ultra Lift Blondes are the most alkaline in any color line before bleach. So because the Ultra Lift Blondes are more alkaline, your mixing ratio will include more morph. So it would be 15 grams of color to 2 grams of morph. Now, if you're dealing with any of our colors from a level 7 and above, your mixing ratio is 1 to 10. So 1 gram of morph to 10 grams of color. And then for the darker shades, like if I were to pull through on her ends and I wanted an acidic Demi, it would be 1 gram of morph, 20 grams of color. So you can see in the lower levels, you would need less morph because you need to acidify it less. In the higher levels, you need more morph because you need to acidify it more. So there will be a little cheat sheet on how to mix, and all the directions are on the morph bottle as well. The box, oh, it's right here. So this is what the morph box looks like, and you've got all your directions here. But just know, if you're using it with a high lift, you're going to need more morph. If you're using it with the darker colors, less morph, because less acidifying is necessary. Okay. Let's see here. Do you have to let fix and color sit before you apply? No, you do not have to. So as soon as you mix your color, you can begin the application on it, whether it's with Morph or just the hair color with Megix10. You mix and apply right away. Okay. Your timing with Megix10 is this. So anytime you use our color with Fix, you will time it 5 to 8 minutes. So even if you're adding Morph to your formula, your timing is 5 to 8 minutes when you're doing a Demi permanent. When you're using 12 volume, 21 volume, or 32 volume, 10-minute processing time. The only one that's a little bit more is going to be our Ultra Lift Blonde. So if you're using our Ultra Lift Blondes with double 40, okay, your timing is 20 minutes, which is still absolutely insane for Ultra Lift Blondes to get that lift and tone in just 20 minutes. But that is the only application where you would have to time it a little bit longer. But remember, if you're using the Ultra Lift as a toner with Fix, it's 5 to 8 minutes. So I hope that clarifies that. So I'm going to have our model go to the side. I think, Maurizio, you shared the pictures. You guys got to see this was 10 minutes, I mean, from application. I finished the application, timed her for 10 minutes and washed her out. We did a quick blow dry, and just so you guys can see how amazing this is. So thank you, honey. You can go sit over there. We clap for the model. So how this is going to change your business, guys. So it's been a little bit over an hour since I started her application. So, and mind you, I'm facilitating while I was doing that. So if I was just working behind the chair without the explanation, these clients are in and out between an hour to an hour and a half. And it's not just for gray coverage. So our swatch book, just so you guys can see, this is not a limited in use color line. So you guys can see there's 86 different colors to choose from. So it doesn't mean that your client has to have gray hair in order for you to use Megix. You can use it with your redheads, your coppers, your golds, ashes. Everybody can be a client with Megix10, and they're in and out so quickly. So if you don't want to work 10 hours a day, you can work 5 and make the same amount of money. If you want to work 10 hours a day and you're making $500 a day, you can make $1,000 a day. So there's an opportunity for you to either double your income or save more time behind the chair. So as I always say, we're all trying to navigate this post-COVID industry, and how can we make sure that everything is safe? How can we make sure that our exposure time with clients is less? How can we still maybe make more money or recoup some of the money that we lost in the shutdowns? There is an opportunity here for you with Megix10. Did I miss any questions, Maurizio?
Yeah, there's something, yes, you did.
Oh,
So one question is, does Magix Morph truly create a pH of less than 7 in the color mixture?
So I pH tested it. I believe it was like 7. Oh God, it was something 7 point something. Do you know what it was, Maurizio?
It depends. It depends if you do it with the ultra blondes or with the level 4. But yes, it goes around 6, 7. So
Yeah,
what
between
you need
6.
to stop the oxidation process.
Hopefully that was helpful. I did test it and I wrote down what that was, but I don't have it on hand. But it does become acidic. So when I use it to tone my blonde, not getting any shift or bump with it.
Yes. So just a second, we have suppose something else. Does it stain the skin around the hairline?
Does Megix10 stain? So it can, yeah. So what I say is work neat. What I do is when I'm using the darker colors, and if my client has drier skin, I know that I'm going to get a little bit of staining. So I make sure that I'm very, very careful. But things happen. So what I do before I shampoo them out, this is an old trick I learned in beauty school. Maybe you guys know it. Before you turn on any water, you get a little bit of shampoo in your hands, emulsify it, and then work the hairline where the staining is. And then you put the water on. And what happens is the color helps lift it out of the skin, and then you can rinse it off and you're not going to get staining. But if the client has fine hair, their scalp might be stained. If they have dry skin, they might get a little bit of staining. That to say, don't be sloppy with your color application. Make sure that everything is neat and tidy. And this is in the darker colors. The lighter colors don't stain as much, but when you're dealing with level 4 and below, there's a chance that you can get some.
Okay. So another question is, in what cases would you choose fixed versus morph for toner?
Okay, so when would you decide to tone with just fix versus when would you decide to tone with fix and morph? If there is any virgin hair on the head and I don't want to shift it at all, I will use morph. If I'm using toners or colors in a level 9 and above, so 9, 10, or ultra lift, I will use morph. Sometimes if the hair is really compromised and it's very porous and dry, I will mix morph, because you have to think, if you continuously put alkalinity on hair, over time it can cause a little bit of structural damage. But for example, on that model, if I wanted to pull through, I wouldn't necessarily need to use morph because I'm doing a deposit only in a level 3. It's not a very alkaline solution to begin with. So just in conclusion, higher lift colors or higher leveled colors, if the hair is compromised, if I don't want to create any shift in the base, is when I would mix morph into my solution. So think about it this way: when you're behind the chair and you do a root color and you grab a liquid acidic Demi versus pulling the color through, what makes you do that versus the other? You know, think about the canvas that you're working on and how you can make sure to maintain the best integrity of it. So that's how I kind of decide. 9 times out of 10, with the addition of morph, I use morph just because it's more gentle on my client's hair. And that's just a personal preference.
Okay, so another question is, how long do you leave the toner on the hair?
Good question. So when you're using the toners, you're mixing it with fix and morph, your processing time is going to be between 5 to 8 minutes. So typically I will either apply at the bowl or I will bring them to my chair depending on how much I have to tone. If it's just usually the ends, I'll do it at the bowl. But if I'm toning at the roots, I'll bring them back to my chair. When you mix morph with your color, it makes it a little less creamy, a little bit more manageable, a little bit more easy to get on the hair quicker. And then you're going to, so you want to watch it and make sure that you're getting the deposit that you want and that you're processing it at least 5 minutes. 5 to 8 is your general time window of when you use fix. So good question.
Okay, so another question is, what happens if I don't use Magix Up before apply color on 50% gray hair, since Megix10 and the developer already have Karabageti, low alkaline, and all the good stuff?
Yep, that's a good question. So I use the Magix Up just as a pre-color treatment. You don't have to use it. It's not like you absolutely have to use every single, the whole part of the regimen. It's just there to help you. It's an insurance policy for you. If the client has maybe scalp sensitivity or an ammonia sensitivity, it's going to decrease that. It's going to get the hair prepared for the color. So what's going to happen? You're still going to get amazing deposit. You're still going to get amazing color results. It's just the Up is just almost like an added benefit. But if you do have a client that you are pulling the hair color all the way through, I would say definitely spray it. It's going to equalize the porosity and give you a cleaner deposit. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. You're still going to get brilliant results. But if you have it, definitely use it and you'll see the benefit of when you use it versus when you don't. So that's a good question.
Okay. So another question, if you have to put someone under a processor or heater, will it change the color? I
would say do not do that. Megix10 works in 10 minutes. So I guess my question would be, why do you want to put them under the processor? What's the reason? because if it can be avoided, definitely avoid it. Because you have to think, once you're exposing these chemicals to heat, they will act erratically and you could get less consistent results, especially a hood dryer. Steam dryer, you might be okay. The lights, you might be okay, but the hood dryers are definitely, in my opinion, a big no-no. I don't think, and Maurizio can confirm, but from a manufacturer standpoint, we do not recommend putting the color or the lightener under heat. It will create possibly an inconsistent outcome. And so it's no-go, unless there's a reason. And that's why I say, if you want to share the reason, we can talk about it. But you don't typically need to, because you're getting the deposit that you're wanting in that short amount of time.
So the question is, how do you highlight with a base color?
How do you what?
Highlight.
With Megix10?
With a base color.
Oh yeah, good question. So there's a couple of ways to go about doing this. Typically what I do is I will apply my highlights first. Okay, and then after I apply the highlights, if I'm using Lift 9, it's a lot quicker. So once I apply the highlights, I go in and apply my base. And then process for 10 minutes, and I'm usually good. Now, if I'm dealing with coarse hair, if I'm dealing with really dark hair and I'm trying to get them very light, I apply my foils and I wait. And once I look at my foils and I'm close to, say, a level 8 and my goal is a 9, then I apply my base color, time it, and wash it. But you guys remember, so Megix10 is not progressive. So if you leave it on a little bit longer than 10 minutes, you're not going to run into the problems that some people have had with 10-minute color, where it's like you put a level 8 on and at the 15-minute mark, it looks like a level 6. Like that does not happen with Megix. So if you need to leave it on a little bit longer, you're fine with that. Like it's not going to be a problem. And then there's some people who will put the base color on and then apply over that. I personally don't do it that way, but I've seen people do that as well. So you can do both. You just got to time it kind of properly. But I would suggest use Lift 9. When you're using Megix10, it helps you get there a little bit quicker than some other bleach.
Okay, so about heat, so I asked the question of heat processing. So if I do highlights and low light, and I want to put them under processor or heater to process bleach, so this is the question.
That's why you do. Okay. So again, like this is just a personal preference of mine. I don't put color or bleach under the dryer. I know a lot of stylists do because it helps get there quicker. I use Lift 9. So Lift 9 definitely gets me there quicker without the heat. The heat causes additional damage. However, if you want to, you're not using Lift 9 and whatever you're using, if you normally put it under the dryer, then you can do that and then take them out and put the Megix10. But I wouldn't recommend anything from Mo1 to go under the heat.
Okay, so can apply the color on wet hair? Is the processing time different?
Okay, wet hair, no. Damp hair, yes. So when you apply color on wet hair, you got to think the hair and the hydrogen bonds are already swollen. The hair has all that water on it. So if you're putting color on wet hair, you're not going to get a good deposit because it's basically diluting your color because of how much water is in the hair. If the hair is damp, which means if you wring it, no water is coming out. It's just like damp, then you're going to get an amazing color deposit. Okay. So I always, not always, but I typically have done applications on damp hair and got great results. On wet hair, you're diluting it. So you're not going to get a better result. And the timing would be the same if it's on damp hair versus dry hair. But on wet hair, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're using it to tone, just wring out all the water, towel dry it, and then do your application. Hopefully that was clear.
Like the last question is the best approach to high white coverage and red on, I suppose, on red shades.
Best approach to high white coverage and red shades. Okay, so if you're trying to do gray coverage or white coverage on 50, 60, 70%, when it comes to reds, My biggest tip would be instead of adding a 0.0, use 0.00 or gold for your background. Because if you put just like a 6.66 on white hair, it's going to be very bright and slightly hollow. So you need to add a natural or some additional gold in there to get the best coverage. So I would do either 0.00 or 0.3 gold with your whatever red target shade is to get a nice robust coverage instead of that hollow, like you guys have seen it, right? Some of these people that have white hair and it looks a little pinky, it looks a little hollow. So you need additional warmth in gold or orange to help balance that out. So that would be my recommendation. Don't put straight red or red intense on the hair. Add a little bit of gold to anchor it so that it looks pretty.
Okay, what happened if I use Megix10 as low light and foils along with Lift9? Can I go under the dryer?
I would again just recommend no dryer. You can do absolutely whatever you want, and I feel like as hairdressers we do whatever we want, but I just have to say, like, as a manufacturer, from a manufacturer standpoint, it's not recommended because of the technology, because of the chemicals. You could have your formula go sideways, and so we always just recommend you don't need the heat. If you want your lightener to process quicker, maybe up the developer from 12 to 21 or from 21 to 32. Don't recommend using 40. But again, that's a recommendation. So you can definitely use Megix10 for a low light, especially if you mix it with Morph. You can use Lift9 and a higher developer, and that way you will get all the lightness to process, and then you can put your base color on. I hope that helps. Any other?
No more questions?
No more questions?
No.
Okay, very cool. So we have gone over, and I think I warned you guys towards the end, we typically get a lot of questions, so we have the chance of going over. What I do want to say is look out in your email in the next couple of days. You are going to get something from Jay Templeton. And it's going to be a quick questionnaire, maybe 3 or 4 questions about the webinar. It's just feedback for us on how your experience was and how we could make it better. And then there will be an opportunity for you to choose your 3 colors and your developer, whatever colors you want. And then that will get forwarded to your distributor, and you should get those within the next couple of weeks, maybe sooner. But keep an eye out on that. So we need to know what colors you want in order for us to be able to send it to you. With that being said, I always am here for you guys on Instagram or email. Maurizio, you can put my Instagram handle in the chat box. Feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions. Your rep probably has my phone number. You know, switching over to a new color line, there's always a learning curve. And what my goal is to help you in that learning curve and get past like the struggle so that you can change your business and make more money, save more time, and do all of that. So I know I speak for Maurizio and Jay and myself that we are here to help in any way that we can. And obviously our goal is for you guys to grow as stylists so we can all level up. With that said, I want to say thank you again for your time. And like I said, always here for questions. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. I don't know if Maurizio, you want to say anything?
Yes, thank you everyone for attending the webinar. I hope everything was clear, satisfying and motivating. And see you on Monday the 22nd, no, for the winter.
Oh yeah, Monday the 22nd, we have a look and learn. So it's going to be a technique using our favorite winter formulas. I believe the link is in Moan International's Instagram bio. But yeah, in 2 weeks, technique on a doll head, favorite winter formulas. It's going to be fun. Come party with us. And we will see you guys then.
Perfect.
Very cool. Thank you, everybody.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Maurizio.
Bye-bye.